Perfect Wisdom. With the divisions of the Abhisamilakra. Translated by EdwardConze 1904–1979. University of California Press, Berkeley, Los Angeles, London. Chapter 59, Non-Attachment. The two discriminations of the subject. The first discrimination of the subject. Referring to common people as being substantial entities. Sariputra. In the core verily, Ven. Subhuti, courses the Bodhisattva, the great being, who courses in perfect wisdom. In the core verily, Ven. Sariputra, course the Bodhisattva, the great being. Subhuti. Not in the core verily, Ven. Sariputra, courses the Bodhisattva, the great being who courses in the perfection of wisdom. And why? For without a solid core is the perfection of wisdom, and everything up to the knowledge of all modes. And why? A Bodhisattva, a great being who courses in the perfection of wisdom, can obviously not apprehend or review that which is without a solid core. How then again could he get at the core? 2. He cannot apprehend the knowledge of all modes which has no solid core. How then could he apprehend its core? Thereupon it occurred to a great many of the gods of the sphere of sense desire and form. Worthy of homage are those sons and daughters of good family who have raised their thought to the utmost right and perfect enlightenment, and who course here in this deep perfection of wisdom as it has been explained, and who, although they course in this meaning, do not realize the reality limit, by the realization of which they would be situated on the level of the disciples or pratyeka Buddhas. In this way also are the Bodhisattvas, the great beings worthy of homage, for they do not realize this dharmahood. Subhuti. Not that, O gods, is hard for the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, that they do not realize this dharmahood, when its realization would situate them on the level of the disciples or pratyeka Buddhas. But this, O gods, is extremely hard for them. That they put on the armor of the resolution to lead countless beings to nirvana, when absolutely those beings whom they would lead to nirvana cannot be apprehended. When he courses thus, the Bodhisattva, the great being, becomes one who has set out for the supreme enlightenment, for he has decided to discipline all beings. One would think of disciplining space if one were to think of disciplining beings. And why? From the isolatedness of space should the emptiness of beings be seen, from the insubstantiality of space the insubstantiality of beings, from the vanity of space the vanity of beings. In this way also, O gods, are doers of what is hard the Bodhisattvas, the great beings who put on the armor for the sake of beings who do not exist. Those who for the sake of beings put on the armor are like people who would want to dispute with space. And that armor which has been put on by the Bodhisattva, the great being, and those beings for the will of whom he has put on that armor, they likewise are not apprehended. And why? From the isolatedness of beings should the isolatedness of the armor be seen. If a Bodhisattva, a great being, when this is being taught, does not lose heart, then he courses in perfect wisdom. And why? For from the isolatedness of form, should be inferred the isolatedness of beings, as well as that of the knowledge of all modes. If, when the isolatedness of all dharmas is being taught, a Bodhisattva does not lose heart, feels no despondency and does not tremble in his mind, then he courses in perfect wisdom. The second discrimination of the subject. Referring to the holy persons as being conceptual entities. The Lord. For what reason, Subhuti, does the Bodhisattva, the great being not lose heart in the perfection of wisdom? Subhuti. Because of the non-beingness of all dharmas does the Bodhisattva, the great being, not lose heart in the perfection of wisdom, because of their isolatedness, their calm, their unproducedness. It is for that reason that he does not lose heart in the perfection of wisdom. And why? For he is not apprehended who would lose heart, or that whereby he would lose heart, or that whereabouts he would lose heart. All these dharmas do not exist. If a Bodhisattva, a great being, when this is being taught, does not lose heart, is not cast down, does not get cowed, depressed, or stolid, and remains unafraid, then he courses in perfect wisdom. And why? For all those dharmas do not exist, he who would lose heart, that whereby he would lose heart, or that whereabouts he would lose heart. When he courses thus, the gods round Indra, round Brahma, round Prajapati pay homage to the Bodhisattva, the great being, the Lord. These are not the only gods to pay homage to the Bodhisattva, the great being, who thus courses in perfect wisdom. But also those gods who have quite passed beyond materiality of any kind, the Subhukritsna gods, the Vratphala gods, too. The gods of the pure abode pay homage to him. And the Tathagatas who reside in countless world systems, they also bring him to mind. This Bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, fulfills the perfection of giving, too. The knowledge of all modes. But the Bodhisattva who courses in perfect wisdom, and whom the Buddhas and Lords bring to mind, he should be borne in mind as a candidate to Buddhahood. If all beings in world systems countless like the sands of the Ganges should become evil Maras, and if each evil Mara would conjure up just as many evil Maras, they all would be powerless to obstruct that Bodhisattva, that great being. Endowed with two dharmas does the Bodhisattva become one hard to assail by the evil Maras. He surveys all dharmas from emptiness, and does not abandon any being. Endowed with two other dharmas does the Bodhisattva, the great being who courses in perfect wisdom, become one hard to assail by the evil Maras. As he speaks so he acts, and he is brought to mind by the Buddhas, the Lords. When a Bodhisattva courses thus, deities will think of approaching him, they will honor him, will ask questions and counter questions, and will strengthen his determination by saying to him, "Soon, son of good family, shall you reach the enlightenment of a Buddha. Therefore, then, son of good family, do dwell just in this dwelling, i.e. the dwelling of emptiness, of the signless, of the wishless. And why? For dwelling in this dwelling, you shall become a savior of the helpless, a refuge to those without refuge, a shelter of the defenseless, the final relief of those who are without one, a place of rest for those without resting place, an island to those without one, and a true light to the blind." And why? Because the Buddhas and Lords who reside in countless world systems, and who demonstrate Dharma surrounded by the congregation of monks, they will, proclaiming the name and clan of this Bodhisattva, this great being, who dwells in this dwelling of perfect wisdom, who courses in perfect wisdom, and who is endowed with these virtues, i.e. the virtues of perfect wisdom, demonstrate Dharma and exalt. Just as, Subhuti, just here and now, proclaiming the name of the Bodhisattva. Ratnakatu, the great being, demonstrate Dharma and exalt. And likewise that of the Bodhisattva Seekan, the great being. And of the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, who lead the holy life with Akshobhya, the Tathagata, and who are not lacking in this perfection of wisdom, of them also proclaiming the name I demonstrate Dharma, and exalt. And the Buddhas, the Lords who reside in each of the 10 directions and demonstrate Dharma. They demonstrate the Dharma with a thrill and with much exaltation to the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, who with them thus lead the holy life, and who are not without this perfection of wisdom. And likewise to the Bodhisattvas who, beginning with the first thought of enlightenment, purify the path to enlightenment, until they reach the knowledge of all modes. And why? Because doers of what is hard are the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, who make progress so that she who is the guide of the Buddhas should suffer no interruption. Subhuti. Of which Bodhisattvas, great beings do the Buddhas, the Lords, proclaim the name when they demonstrate Dharma, of the irreversible or the reversible. The Lord. There are, Subhuti irreversible Bodhisattvas, great beings who course in perfect wisdom, and there are also unpredicted Bodhisattvas who do so. To them the Buddhas and Lords demonstrate Dharma with a thrill and with much exaltation. Subhuti. And who are they, O Lord? The Lord. Those who under Akshobhya, the Tathagata, course on the pilgrimage of a Bodhisattva and dwell engaged on regular training. These are the irreversible Bodhisattvas, great beings to whom the Buddhas and Lords demonstrate Dharma with a thrill and with much exaltation. And likewise those who course on the pilgrimage of a Bodhisattva while learning from Ratnakatu, the Bodhisattva, the great being. Moreover, Subhuti, those Bodhisattvas, great beings who course in perfect wisdom, and who resolutely believe in the fact of the non-genesis of all dharmas, although they have not acquired the patient acceptance of dharmas which fail to be produced. And likewise those who, although they have not acquired the patient acceptance of dharmas which fail to be produced, resolutely believe that all dharmas are empty, that they are calmly quiet, that they are nullities, insignificant, void and insubstantial. To them also the Buddhas and Lords demonstrate the Dharma with a thrill and with much exultation. But the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, to whom the